Hello everyone and welcome back to your piano lesson. If you are here for the first time, I am Gianluca Fronda, your virtual piano teacher. If you want to discover interesting facts about me, you can watch the introduction video of this channel. I'm leaving the link in the description of this video, where you will find also the link for my artistic channel, Gianluca Fronda, pianist and composer, if you're interested in original music and covers. Talking about this channel, don't forget to subscribe and let me know about yourself by commenting. Tell me when you have started, if you're finding my channel interesting and you're improving your skills also thanks to my videos. And don't forget also to share with your friends if there is anybody interested in piano music, anybody that you know. So now time to go to our lesson. Welcome back to the music theory lessons. Today I'm publishing the 8th music theory lesson, and funny enough, I am going to talk about the 8th notes, Quavers, so 8th notes using the American way, Quavers using the British one. And what are the Quavers or the 8th notes? Are the half count notes. We are finally going to divide, to understand today that also the count note, the crotchet or the quarter note, the one worth one count, can be divided. And indeed, one count, you might think, how can you divide one count? You can. In music is one of the longest, or one of the biggest music value, the crotchet or quarter note. But let's start now writing down, first of all, the name, as usual. I start from the British. Or 8th note. And it's better that we clarify that they are the half count notes. Let's try also to understand how to write down the half count notes. If we go back to the very first lesson, where I explained that in music we write down the notes using three very basic elements. We start from the circle, empty. Then we can use the stem to be added to this one, or we can add also the color into the empty circle. And I also explained that by adding the stem to the first note, I get half of the first. So by adding the stem to the 4 counts, I get 2 counts. By adding the color into the 2 counts note, I get half of it, that is 1. Then we discover the dot that is out of this scheme, because the dot is adding, is not reducing the length of the notes. But today we have to add one more element to this pack of 3 that is going on following the same identical principle. The element that I have to add now to the crotchet or to the quarter note is going to cut in half, to divide, to reduce the length of this sound, of this note, up to half of the length indeed. And the element that I have to add, we can consider either, I'm writing a note here, yeah? We can call it either a tail or a flag. So it can be with a stem down and is a tail or flag going up, or opposite, with the stem up. Obviously at that point this tail or flag will go down. This is the single half count note, the single quaver or single 8th note. All the students that in the past and now have studied and are studying with me, they know how I like to explain the quavers, especially when I start indeed explaining the quavers, the 8th notes, the half count notes, using a very interesting and funny example. I can I give always the chance of choosing in between pizza, cake, or even apple if you like. What do I mean? I'm starting now drawing a circle. Imagine that this is a pizza if you want, that is a cake, if you like, or a typical apple. So imagine that this is the semi-breve. The semi-breve indeed would mean that this is the note that you know, drawn in this way, or like a middle C, in the way you like, on top for the treble clef stave, for example. But we know also that we can divide these pizza, let's say now. I simply use pizza, but imagine whichever you like. I can also divide in two halves, isn't it? So if I cut the pizza in two halves, when you buy the pizza, yeah, in general it comes with more slices, but when you go, for example, to Italy, they bring it in the way it is. Also, if you go to any restaurant, any pizzeria in the UK, in America, and you order the pizza, many of them, they bring the pizza entire, the whole pizza, not cut. And imagine that you can cut into halves. In this way, what happened that these two halves are two minims, or two half notes. Yeah? Here, for example, as well, I can add the minim inside, but it's better maybe to see here. Seems otherwise to be donut or an Italian zeppola. So I write also here, in this way it's easier. So each of them, this one can be considered like this half pizza, like an half count, or this one like another one. Yeah, I hope you are understanding what I mean. So consider this like half of it. This one is the first half, this one is the second half. Why not now? I think that you can easily understand where I'm trying to take you. I can divide this pizza in 4 equal parts by cutting once, another time, so twice, and I get 4 quarters of pizza, isn't it? Indeed, I can say that this quarter is like a quarter note. This one is another quarter note, or crotchet. This is another quarter note. This is another quarter note. I'm drawing randomly wherever it is. I don't consider that there is the stave. Yeah, it's not about drawing the notes exactly like they should be. I want simply to focus on the concept that these 4 notes are each of them quarters of this one. And you can easily see that 2 quarters, they make an half note, or a minim. 2 crotchets make a minim. Okay? Let's do also exactly like I did with the previous ones. We can say that this one is this quarter. This other one is this other quarter. Then I have another one. Maybe let's draw with the stem going down. That is this. And another one. That is the left one. That was this one. Okay? Here we are. Hopefully now it's even more clear. But let's go on, because you can cut the pizza in 8 parts, in 8 slices, in the 8th that we have mentioned today. And here we are finally now reaching, for now, the maximum amount of slices that comes from dividing. So first of all in half, then in quarters, and then in 8th. Whichever is your age, I hope you don't mind me talking in this way. So imagine that this is, since it's 1/8 of pizza, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Here I can place 1 quaver, 1/8 note, another one here, another one here. Why not? Another one here, and one more here. That's all. Here we are. I hope you're understanding now which one is the concept. And one more here. So each now quarter, bigger slice, has been divided furthermore into halves, and we get 8 slices in total. Now obviously I'm not going to draw all of them, but just to visualize, help you visualizing even more. So this one could be this one, a few more, and let's say etc. etc. Okay, I hope it's clear what I mean when I talk about half count notes, when I talk about quavers, when I talk about 8th notes. These half count notes, since obviously they are half of the count, you need 2 of them to make 1 count, can be also joined in couples. And indeed I am going to draw a simple couple of half count notes So you draw the stems and then you connect these stems with this line. Obviously the line can go also down, but these are two, yeah? And together they make one count. Together they make one count. Half count. Same story. Half count. Each of them. But they can also be joined in blocks of 4. Or even more. You will discover. Obviously if there are 4, if 2 make one count, 4 of them, they make 2 counts. 1 plus 1 is 2. And let's try to understand how to count in practice when you face the half count notes. It won't be enough anymore counting 1, 2, 3, 4, placing one crochet, one crochet, one crochet, one crochet, or one quarter note, one quarter note, one quarter note, one quarter note. The count notes. But you will have to divide each of them in halves. It's enough in a bar to have one, even one simple half count note, and you have to understand now how is possible on a half count note. I have to explain one more thing today, to change completely the way you count, because indeed I will clarify even more in one of the following lessons. But when you study, when you play, please be advised, count out loud. If you are well trained, you can count in your mind, you can develop a very good instinct towards the rhythm, but I suggest you to count along playing. Let's consider indeed, from now on, that each count is made of 2 moments. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and divide in your mind each count into equal parts, 2 identical parts, and you can help yourself adding "and" straight after the number when you count. I want to give you a very practical example regarding the specific way of counting, and I want to now show you how to count each of the values that we have been learning until now. For example, if I have to consider one, few bars from a piece in 4/4, where I have, for example, a semi-breve, and then followed by 2 quavers and something else, I could say 1 big minim and 1 crochet. Okay, now I want to simply focus on each of them. The fact that I have 2 couples, 2 quavers, 2 half notes that together are making 1 count, takes me to count all from the very beginning, subdividing the count in halves. So these C semi-breve will be, or a whole note, will have to be played counting, saying 1 and 2 and 3 with R as well and 4 and. So these has to be played, not anymore counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's not anymore enough, because here you will face the half count note. Unless you are, well trained, you have very good instinct, a little genius, it's fine, because in my life I've never been counting because I studied solfege, but since lately nobody practices anymore the solfege, we have to definitely count, to respect strictly the length of the notes, the rhythm of the pieces. And indeed you will do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you will move on. In practice it will be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and indeed, let's move to the second bar. What is happening here? If this one has to be counted in this way, this one's as well, but what happened is this. This one will be, on the first count, will be 1 and. So 1 here and here. This one is taking the second and the third count, and indeed it will be 2 and 3 and this one will be the fourth count, will be 4 and. So this is the situation as soon as you start facing the half count notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I hope it's clear to you. Whichever is the place where they are. Imagine that this one, for example, could be the minim, for example, yeah? At the beginning of a bar, it's fine. You will simply count in the same identical way. Then you have a crotchet on the third count, fine. Followed by 2 quavers, same story, same story. You will do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. For example, let's do it this way. So here it will be counting, this one will be 1, 1 and 2 and. This one will be on the third count. I can write it here. The D will be straight after the C. We are in a 4/4. Will be 3 and. And the last one will be 4 and. Okay? So I hope it's a little bit clear to you. I'm giving you some example to let you understand which one is in practice the change. Okay? I want to explain immediately now why I said that even 1 quaver, it's enough to let you count, subdividing into halves each count. We have to now call back the dot. The dot can be placed straight after the crotchet. And I show you what I mean. So, let's do the treble clef. If I do, for example, crotchet, a quarter note, the count note, and I add now to these the dot, try to remember which one is the power of the dot. The power of the dot is the one of adding half of the value of the note. If this is 1, and we have finally understood that the count note can be divided into halves, you will easily understand that half of 1 is exactly half count, is a quaver, is an eighth note, is an half count note. And this one indeed will be like made of, let's write down, let's draw in a kind of bracket. So there are hidden in 1 dotted crochet 3. Imagine 3 quavers. Obviously I'm joining them together because you know that you can join, but consider like simply 3 hidden quavers into one of these, into a dotted crochet, into a dotted quarter note. 1 and 2. So the dot obviously will fall exactly where there is the second count, and then straight after it you can place a quaver, an eighth note, an half count note. In this way it will be 1 and 2 and. I repeat, like 1 and 2 and. I hope it's clear to you which one is the power of the dot straight after the crochet. The dot always adds half of the value of the note, half of the length. And since I've clearly explained in a very practical way how to count and play semi-breves, minims, crotchets just a few minutes before, I want to give you even more a clear explanation of this example that I gave you regarding the dotted crotchet or dotted quarter note and the quaver. Let's analyze even more. The crotchet itself, we have understood finally that it is made of, can be made now, since we have to divide even more the count, has to be considered like made of 2 half counts, isn't it? So hidden we have these 2 half counts. As soon as I add the dot straight after it, it obviously is adding half, and indeed imagine that now the dotted crochet will be not anymore simply made of the 2 hidden half counts that I've mentioned here, but we'll have one more that is due to the dot. And that's why I'm saying that you count 1 and 2, and then you will have one note that could be D or whichever it is. So 1 and for the note itself, 2 where there is the dot, and end is completing the package. This is the first count, this is the second count. The second count starts exactly here and ends here. 1 and 2. Oh, just one. 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. I hope that now it's really clear to you. Can be whichever note, doesn't matter. This is a simple crochet, yeah? Even though it doesn't seem to be. Before ending this lesson, I want to show you a few rhythms using the half count notes. Let's maybe start from a 4/4. I want to simply do a treble clef. We're in a 4/4. For example, you can have, indeed, let's write again this case and I will complete. You can have a dotted crochet or dotted button note followed by a quaver and then with a minim straight after, a 2 counts note, an half note. These can be also inverted. You can have first of all a minim and then you can have a crochet, dotted crochet followed by a quaver. But we have noticed that we can have also the quavers written in couples. For example, 2 quavers followed by, for example, crochet and by a minim. Or indeed you can start also in this case with a minim, then you can have I could even go up, doesn't matter, I'm going now. Then you can have first of all indeed a minim and then a crochet and then 2 quavers. Or, as I mentioned, you could even have, let's carry on maybe here, you could have even 4, and I imagine that is simply the continuation of the previous line. You can have also 4 quavers joined, creating a block of 4 quavers, followed by either 2 crochets or by 1 minim, 1 half note. So the possibilities now obviously are finally many more. We can finally use more values and we don't need to use simply only the 4 counts notes, the 2 counts notes, the 1 count note and plus the 3 counts note. So this is just to give you an example of the potential rhythms that you can face. There are even more. You can have even 8 quavers in one bar. For example, grouped in 2 blocks of 4. This is another option that you have. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and indeed, how will you count? You will always do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 we can definitely do even more. Just to avoid that, in case you will find it, you won't be able to recognize that much, or you might be surprised. Please be advised that same as we have 1 dotted crochet and 1 quaver, you can have also the opposite. You can have also, for example, first of all the quaver and then a dotted crochet. It is definitely possible. To complete the bar, we can do the same. We can have either the same or something else. We can have, for example, long G. And how will it be? It is 1 and 2 and, because the quaver, the crochet is made of 2 quavers itself, isn't it? Then we have 1 more that is added by this. Follow me, pay attention. So 1 is here, and is here, at the start of the note. Then we have taken just half of the note itself. Then 2, let's say start exactly where there is the second half of the note, will be 2, and the end of 2 is given by the dot. I hope it's clear to you. To simplify, you can even do in your in your mind, you can think in this way: 1 end, 2 end. In this way you see even more, because this one is adding half, completing this first half. The first half of the bar. And then 2 end is the note itself. But obviously if we want to follow the order, you can simply remember that there are hidden in one crochet 2 half count notes, and this is adding an extra half count note. More than this, I think that can be done. The most important thing to keep in account from today on is that you have to change the way you're counting when you play. You have to finally subdivide the count into halves, and this is very important to keep the evenness that has to be kept, to keep consistent the rhythm, and not mentioning the speed, because the speed can vary according to your level, to the requirement of the song. We will understand these kind of things in the near future, but from now on, understand the importance of counting. I would suggest you to count out loud, and then in your mind. But don't say that you can't, because it's possible. It's possible. I have many students at the beginning refuse. Then as soon as they understand the importance, and as soon as they start working on it, training themselves properly, they don't want to give up anymore. They want to stay, because it indeed helps you placing the notes exactly on the right small fragment of bar where they should be. Anyways, I believe that today maybe there is a need of some question, of some extra clarification. If you have any question, if you have any doubt, don't hesitate to comment to let me know how it's going, if you're understanding what I'm explaining. But be advised, this is just the start. I will be developing this concept. Today is a simple introduction to the quavers, to the eighth notes, to the half count notes. Three names mentioning the same identical thing, and the importance of counting when you play, when you study. If it's the first time you're landing on my channel thanks to this video, don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next one.